Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Happy Thursday. I get confused some days. Y'all already know it's still like in quarantine kinda, and I really get confused some days. So y'all don't judge me. But y'all know I'm excited. Y'all already know what today is. Y'all already know, so don't even act like y'all don't know what today is. I've been talking about it. I'm excited. I think today is gonna be awesome. I'm ready. So I want y'all to get ready with me. You know what I'm doing. I'm sharing, and I need y'all to share. Come on in here. So as we do it, let's do a share party. I share, you share, we all share. Just so everybody knows what's going on. And my guest is here and ready. I'm so stoked. It's gonna be an amazing conversation. It's about to be on and popping, and I want y'all all here. And I think you're gonna have a great time. So come on in here. Now, I know y'all can catch the replay, but I don't even want you catching the replay. Come on in the room right now. Okay. I'm gonna give y'all a second to share. Okay. Come in here and say hi to me. I'm a little bossy today. I'm a little bossy today. Just gonna say hi so I can know you here. So I can know you rocking with me. See this little piece of hair in front of me is saying hi. I don't want it to say hi, but it's not gonna move. And we rolling. So y'all can say hi. That's only polite. I know y'all with me from YouTube. Y'all with me from Facebook. Hey mom, how are you? Love you. I know y'all with me, so come on in the room. Come on in the room. Let me just I'm trying to wait for a few of y'all to come in because y'all always say I start without y'all. Because I don't be wanting to wait 10 minutes for people. It ain't not that y'all not important to me. I love y'all. I just like to be on time a little bit, okay? So y'all can just kind of come in here and watch the replay and catch back up, okay? Still love you. So I'm gonna start my introductions now. Y'all know we are still in our Women's History Month. And we just came off a series in our Men's Month. And I made that a Men's Mental Health Month. And so this is Women's History Month. And so I decided to have women on and talk about things. What do we love to talk about? Relationships. We love to talk about relationships because why? They're important. And we have them. We have romantic relationships. We have friendships. We have acquaintanceships. We have family relationships. We have work relationships, all of the above. So I want to talk about healthy relationships. And so I've been having somebody on every Thursday. And we've had amazing conversations. And today is going to be no less amazing. Today I have on someone and I'm super excited about. I'm going to bring her on. Yes, I have the lovely, the beautiful Torree Munson. She is also known as Transparent T. And listen, she is a firecracker. She is a life coach. She's an elder in her church. She is a mother. She is a wife. She's been through life and she is just a wealth of knowledge and she has a desire to help people move into what their destiny is. And I'm super, super excited to have her on. Welcome, Torree.
Thank you.
Welcome. I really am passionate about talking about mental health issues, really super passionate about talking about things like relationships. We like to talk about them, but we sometimes go to the messy side. And I'm like, the conversation's not bad, but let's talk about what healthy looks like and what not so healthy looks like and what to do. Because unfortunately, there's sometimes a thing where I think people are ashamed to say they just don't know, that they don't know, that they did not know, or they never really were taught that. And that's no shade against anybody who raised them, nothing like that. That's just saying sometimes we don't know. And I'd rather you say you don't know and get the help than just pretend like you don't have a problem and keep it to yourself and suffer in silence, right? So that's what we're trying to do, is for us to have these conversations that might shift somebody's trajectory in their life. So, Torree, I'm gonna just let you go. Like I said, you already know what we're talking about. So, today I really did want to talk about the romantic relationships because, come on, y'all, we take those seriously. And so, share with us. I know you have a powerful testimony. So, whatever you want to share, kick us off.
So, listen, where must we begin? So, I do want to talk about healthy relationships, or even the woman just being healthy to be able to go into a relationship. I do believe that if a woman is not healthy herself going into a relationship, it will not be healthy. Because a lot of times we as women, we carry what we have gone through in our previous relationship. And that's because we have not forgiven. We have not, we still have soul ties. We still are tied to that relationship, out of sight, out of mind. Maybe I have not seen this person in a long time, so I'm over them. But the moment that you see them, your heart kind of wrench. That really shows you that you are not done and you are still tied to that relationship. So if I can just tell you a little bit about my story for now before we dive into all the other stuff, is that I am in my third marriage, 1, 2, and 3. Yep. And in the beginning, I was a little ashamed of even being divorced twice. I was ashamed that I was a co-pastor at a church, and the relationship was not what it looked like on the outside. A lot of times people, listen, a lot of times people present to the world something, and really it's not what it looks like. Have you ever seen those old Western movies where there is, you know, the building and there's a bunch of these buildings, but really all it is it's hollow, the front of the building, and if you tiptoe around to the back, there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like what people do now with their relationships. They put out in the forefront what they want you to see, but they don't want you to know their dirty laundry, what's really going on. So I was married. I was a co-pastor. My first marriage, it was high school love. I really shouldn't have been married. Come on here. Sometimes we want to marry just who we think is fine. And I had a baby by him, and that was the high school love. And he was a whoremonger, but I still went ahead and did what? Married him, thinking that things was going to change. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the way the person is when you get married, it will magnify. The way the person is before you get married, it will magnify when you get married. Okay. So that marriage ended. I'm just going to go quickly through that. That marriage ended because there was a child that was, he had a child on me and all that crap. So, you know, all that stuff that went through. So I was the point back then where I divorced him and he didn't know it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I, you know, now I just was like, I'm not going to deal with it. So I divorced him. He didn't know it. But then I got married again. Some time had passed. I was, you know, time passed. I get married again. And because I felt like this man was in theological seminary and all this great stuff, that he was the man I should have married. God did not tell me to marry him, nor did God tell me to marry the previous male. I did it because that's something that I chose to do. So in that marriage, we went through ups and downs, and like I said, our relationship was just a shell. So you seen what it was on the outside, but in the inside of our home, it was a lot of other stuff that was not pleasant. So so now I am in my third marriage, and I married my best friend. And I can truly say that that was a God marriage. He brought us together to marry. So that is a little bit about my history of what I've gone through as far as this is my third marriage. So I do, and in between there, I was single. Trust me, been there and done that too. So in those relationships, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot of how to deal with situations, how to resolve things, because I was a fighter, kind of, sort of. I was a thrower. I was a cusser. I was all that stuff. And because of the anger that was inside of me, I'm the kind of person that would, if you will, internalize things. And then I internalize it so much because I'm not a confrontational person that what I would do is I would just blow up. That's not healthy at all. Come on. That's not healthy at all. And those are the things that we as individuals need to learn how to deal with and work through.
That's good. You said so much already. And it's so good. First of all, I love your honesty and your transparency. So many people get stuck on the idea of, if I share that, how will people look at me? You know, how would they say something? But they don't realize your testimony literally can somebody out the prison of their shame. Literally, you can help somebody come out of like their pit, because now you're saying, wow, I also went through this. And this is how I came out of it. So thank you for even being so transparent. Hence the name Transparent Tea. But you said something that was so true. And that's what we talked about when I first started this series. I said, hey, y'all, you already know I said it's about relationships. But first, let's talk about relationship with self, because it's so important that you start working on you and start to be more self-aware of how you present. Let's start looking at the things in your past. Let's start figure out how you show up. So often we're so fun and fast to point. He did this to me. She did this to me. They did this. And you're stuck in a blame game where nobody's taking responsibility. No one has ownership. And if there's no ownership, there's no way forward. Okay. You can sit here, you can play victim if you want to, but there's something each side does in a relationship. It's a two-way street, whether you acknowledge it or not. And I've tried to tell people that before, even when I was in a relationship with a guy cheating on me. It was a long time ago when I was younger. I mean, I'm sure it happened since then, but that's the one I remember. And I remember telling him, you cheated on me. You did this to me. And I remember somebody was like, well, what did you do? And I was so offended. What you mean what I did? You trying to say that I did something to make him cheat on me? And then they said, no, I'm saying, what was your part? You're telling me you did nothing. And I said, yeah, I did nothing. Like I was really there. And they said, bring it down. Just think about it. And I was super offended. I was super in that moment that I couldn't hear them. And later on, and I probably was a year or so later, probably. And I remember thinking about that and really understanding that what my piece in that relationship is that I was with somebody. I was so desperate to have anybody. I didn't vet them. I didn't have any standards. Picked that I chose whatever chose me. And I had this whole thing about potential. So whatever I thought I could see, I'm holding on to the dream of that. Mm-hmm. So I had to figure out what my problems were. Those were all my issues. Oh yeah. And I put up with the signs. I saw red flags and I went nowhere. Those are all my things. Mm-hmm. I'm realizing that we have to understand what our piece of it is. So that was so important that you said you had to realize your problems. You had to figure out what you were coming from. You had to understand how you were showing up. So did you figure out that after the first relationship, or did it take a little bit more time?
It took a minute because my father I'm a PK kid. So my father was a pastor, in a barbershop, and he was a paramedic. So my father was very busy. And it wasn't that my father didn't love us. He was a man, he was a provider. So he was always moving. He was always busy. He was a pastor of a church. So I yearned for that attention from men because I wasn't getting that attention directly from my dad. Now I knew he loved me, but there was a lack inside of me that would accept whatever thought that I was beautiful. Come on here. Now. And so I would, because my self-esteem was low, I may look one way, but because my self-esteem was low, I gravitated to what they said, how beautiful I was. I thought that was nice, so I would go with that, no matter what it looked like, I was. And so it took me some time to learn that I am a queen. I don't have to settle. I don't have to, I need to wait until, listen, let me tell you, even after my second marriage, I left the church and I was a pastor and I went back into the world and I went back to somebody that was lower than low, but that is where I was because of the hurt and pain that I have dealt with. That's where I was. So I went and grabbed somebody to where I was. And women say, I'm tired of dating these men that I'm tired of dating these men that do this or do that. Well, baby, you are picking the man where you are. So wherever you are, that's what you're going to attract. And so many women don't understand and believe that. But that's why I say you can't go into a relationship if you're not healthy. We do it all the time now because see, we seeking the need. No.
You know what? You done hit so many points. The thing about it is, you said something that is so transparent that a lot of people won't say. I attracted the low of the low because I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like, oh, well, I'm not really a bad person. Nobody said you was bad. They're saying that your spirit, your
Yes.
no, and it has nothing to do with how you look. It has nothing to do with your career, how much success you say you have. It has nothing to do with that. You can literally be at a point where you don't. What I've experienced too is that you literally don't really think that you are worth the fuss. I have, and I'm gonna say this. This is so funny you said that. Being a successful woman too. That to me was a hard thing because I remember at one point somebody told me, being somebody that, was in corporate America as a woman, no man would want me. And you too, this and that, and men to be intimidated, all this crap, all the stuff they would say. And I remember at one point, I'll be honest with you, after going on some dates with some guys that I believe were narcissists and a couple of other things, I think that I convinced myself that I was not going to meet somebody that really valued me. And I think I internalized that to take what you can get.
Mm-hmm.
I think I internalized that would take what you can get because the guys that were doing well off, they didn't want me. I was too independent. The guys who were, middle class, they wanted something, it was all these different criterias. And I said, well, I really do believe in real love. I really do believe that, these things can happen. But I really, I had a moment where I thought that, hey, it's not here yet. So this person is chill. They're cool. And you know what? For one moment, nothing else matters. They're and I'm lonely. That's it.
Let me tell you something. I was so trapped mentally. In a relationship that this is the person that I dated after my ex-husband. This guy was the one of the low of the low. Let me tell you something. It was something that you said when you said that you didn't think that nobody else would take you or want you, so you chose that. The same thing with me. I chose that which he thought that I was the most beautiful thing that he would ever get. Like, this is the best probably that he would ever get. So I went with, because I'm thinking, oh, he's gonna treat me right and he gonna do me right. But baby, let me tell you, it's by the grace of God that I'm sitting here today, dealing with him. And see, a lot of people don't understand that you start dating these men not really knowing who they were. Now, he lived all the way in the city, and I was all the way in New York City. And I would travel back and forth. But he had control of me that far. That told you right there what I thought of myself.
Yeah. But you're not alone. And I'm glad you're telling your story. And I'm telling you, that's why I wanted to say, yeah, not just you, it's me. It's a lot of people. If we want to be real honest about it, people are, and people always equate self-esteem with self-worth. It's not the same. Mm-hmm. I need you to understand, you could think you have high self-esteem. Like, you can look in the mirror and say, I'm pretty, I'm beautiful. But your worth level can be predicated by other factors that you're not being honest about. Okay. Yeah. And so until we're ready to have those conversations, until we're ready to look in the mirror and be honest about, I remember some people used to say this, y'all have too many, y'all standards are too high. You ever heard people say, oh, a lot of Black men in jail, or they this or that, and this and that. And so
you can get.
And I used to be like, well, how much lower can I go? I'm not playing limbo. Yeah, I don't know. Where can I go? But you see, that plays into your psyche.
Yes.
Your psyche. You start believing that. Well, you're right. Either I'm going to have to date somebody's husband.
Yes.
I'm a PK. My mama, she know I never tried to do that. I'm just being honest. But I'm going to have to either date somebody's husband, or I'm going to have to be with somebody who don't got it.
That's the truth.
Listen, you really start to believe it. You start to brainwash yourself. Society brainwashes you, but I'm not going to put that whole thing on them. I'm just going to be honest. You really start to absorb that. You really start to feel that your standards are too high, and so you lower them. And it's all, you go a game until you find somebody that's going to in that moment fulfill what it is you're missing inside, which really can't be fulfilled by nobody exterior.
So let's talk about the real issue.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So the real issue, the person has to dig down deep to get to the real issue. They have to really be honest with themselves to why. And so people don't like to talk about the real issue, though. They don't want to go there because it could be any issue from what happened to them in their childhood. It could be an issue from how their mother, how their father treated them, what was done to them. It can be any issue of those. And a lot of times women, we stay in these cycles of the wrong men because of a lack of something or something that happened to us that we didn't want to talk about, resolve, or come to terms with. And so we women, and see, this is why it's so important that the women come to terms with this and learn how to deal with their issues if they have children. We don't want our kids repeating the same cycle that we have gone through. So yes. We don't come to terms with what my issue is. So when you can deal with the real issue, you are ready for a real relationship.
Yes. Yes. And that's it. That's it. That's really it. I think the what's that called? The that keeps the breakdown. The reason why people don't go there is because I feel like people are afraid to go behind the door. Okay, like you talked about the door. They're afraid to go behind the door because that door been shut, it's been nailed, it's been glued, it's been sealed, it's not been open for 10, 15 years. And so there's a fear that when I open it up, you know how they used to say skeletons in your closet, that, you know, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to talk about the molestation. I don't want to talk about the abuse, physical abuse. I don't want to talk about my self-esteem issues. Growing up, I was made fun of by somebody close to me. I don't want to talk about how I feel less than. I don't feel smart. My teacher told me I was dumb, and so therefore I just got to the point where I wouldn't use my mind anymore. And I started using my body because I thought their body, because that's a real thing too. I call it dumbing yourself down because you just don't have any self-worth, and really starting to understand that. It's not, I'm not sitting here telling you when you start to look back, it's not going to uproot some things. It's telling you it's necessary, because what's happening is, even if that stuff you think you had, it shows up in every relationship you had.
Yes, it does.
Relationship, it shows up in your parent-child relationship. It shows up in your sibling relationship. It shows up in your romantic relationship. It shows up in your friendships. It shows up in everything, even your career.
Yes.
Some entrepreneurs I know that won't go forward would be in their purpose, or they're people that's not going forth in their purpose because they really don't believe they are worthy to have things because of what happened in their past.
Yes. That is so important. That is so important. I know of some people today that they are stuck because they don't feel worthy because of the things that happened to them. And you really, and I talk to the person all the time, but you really have to want better in order to be better.
Yes, you have to.
You will show up when you make the decision in your mind that I'm going to show up. Everything else is going to follow.
Yeah.
This right here is so powerful. Your mind makes the decision. Every decision that we do every day, this is what tells us to do.
Yeah.
So we have to make the decision as individuals that I want to deal with this issue and I want my life to be transformed. I'm tired of being stuck. I want to move forward because I'm not happy in this place. I want more for myself. I know that I can. Les Brown said, if you can look up, you can get up. Now, if you got knocked down from a relationship, whatever it is, divorce, whatever it is, molestation, whatever it is, your parent cussed you out, whatever it is, you was a drunk, a prostitute, whatever it is. If you can look up, you can get up. It takes one decision to change your life.
One decision. One decision.
And even in regular relationships, even in women relationships, even in that, a lot of women down talk other women because of their insecurities, the insecurities that they have not dealt with, the things that they lack in, the thing would happen to them. They have insecurities. They think everybody want to be them. They think everybody want to do something better than them or be better than them. And it's really sickening for an individual to think that way. But because they're not healed, a person would think any kind of way, because they don't want to deal with their own issues. And listen, you can be blessed. You can be doing really, really well and still have the most detrimental issues that can kill, that can destroy somebody else or destroy a relationship because you have not dealt with your own issues.
That part, let me put a pin right where you at, because we got to expound on that. That is so pivotal. And it's so real. And that's what we have to really talk about. I feel like when I talk about certain these issues, people are like, oh, that's them. Oh, they life messed up. They just all down and out there. You can see them on their face. They depressed and that. No. Yes, there's some people like that. And yeah, they do need some help. But I'm talking about the person that wakes up every day, that smiles on their face, their family, that's married, that might be in the church, might not be in the church, might be in corporate America. Everything on the outside looks amazing. Everything looks great. You know, they're the first ones to say, I'm blessed and highly favored. I mean, let's be honest. There are some people who put up so much energy to make them look like everything's okay. Mm-hmm. And wonder, or they're accusatory of other people and say, well, this is how this person this, and this is why this person that. You need to understand you can operate in what's called a functional way. You could be successful even. I mean, I've seen people that's why people talk about how people that's rich can commit suicide. But that don't mean nothing when you're miserable, when you have no peace, when you can't sleep at night, when you have no joy. That means nothing.
Yes.
So you got to understand that you have to be honest. And I think sometimes, like you said, you make a decision in your mind about if you want it. And this is why I believe in prayer and therapy, because there are some people that are so messed up in their mind. And if you literally have only seen toxic, have literally only dysfunctional, and I've seen people where nobody has to tell them they're bad. They tell themselves every day horrible things about themselves. Mm-hmm. They repeat things to themselves. I'm worthless. I'm nothing. I can't do this. I can't do that. So if you can't even stop those thoughts, and I'm not saying you can't not believe in God. I'm not saying you can't pray and have God, ask God to do that. But I do believe if you can't get there, right? If we tried here, if we made our mind up, there's no harm in getting some help. This whole idea that getting help, just like you go to the OB-GYN, if you got a problem there, you need to go if you got a problem here. If you know that emotionally, mentally, that you're not, something ain't right. Or, you know what, my relationships are not, all my relationships are scattered. All my relationships have an issue. You know what, maybe it's not me. Maybe it's all of them, but let me just go check it out. Mm-hmm. Just enough to say, let me just go see. It could all be them. I could just be with the dirt and the scum of the earth. But what if it's a part of me, or what's inside of me that's allowing me to continue to choose these?
Yes, you are a magnet. You are a magnet. That's why the saying is the birds of a feather flock together. You are a magnet. You're going to attract exactly what you are, exactly how you think about yourself. There's a saying that you will know a person's future by who they hanging with, who they're surrounded by. What do you think about yourself? I think it is important to get a therapist to talk, because you have to talk things out. You have to talk them out, and you have to deal with the issue. You have to confess the issue. You have to confess the issue. You have to say what that issue is. And sometimes we won't say it to ourselves. We won't deal with it, but we need someone to help pull it out of us. Someone to help us talk it through, talk about what happened to us, talk about those issues. So how did that make you feel? So that made you feel like that. So tell me something else that happened. We need people to be able to pull it out of us so we can talk about it and lift that up off of us, because we allow it to just keep compiling stuff and more stuff. And what happens is we're hurting from something that happened 20 years ago when we were a child, and now we're still thinking as that child because we're still that young girl, that young boy trapped in a grown man's body. And we need to get help so that we could bring closure to that and move on. We need God, we need prayer, and we need to be able to talk to somebody. And that's where that therapists come in at, to help the individual cope with it, to get better.
That's the goal. It should be the goal, right?
Yeah.
I really, people like, why you promote therapy? It's not the end all to everything. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying your friend's not always gonna be able to help you. Sometimes they could be dealing with life's own stuff. I mean, I have a good friend group. I encourage that. But sometimes you could be dealing with stuff that's so deep that you're not even able to tell your friends, or they're not even able to unpack it. I had a friend some years ago that said some stuff to me that was so devastating. She said it out of her mouth, and it was devastating to me that she could think that way and that she felt that way about herself. As much as I wanted to love on her, as much as I wanted to be there for her, as much as I was there for her, she shut me out at one point, and I'm not mad. And it's not putting her on blast. Never will say anything about it. But the point was that there was something there that was so deep I couldn't help her with.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get to a point that I wasn't her therapist. I'm not her God. I'm a friend. So it's only so much. She had some issues that were deep, deep rooted that she needed to go talk to somebody with. And so sometimes we have to be okay with the idea that you might have something that you might not even want to talk to somebody about. Like you might say, well, that happened and I gave it up. I prayed about it, or I did this, and it's done with. But if there are residual pieces in your life,
mm-hmm.
you know if it's residual. If certain things you see trigger you,
mm-hmm.
if there's certain people you see, and like you said, it's something that you should, even if somebody told me this and it was so good, you tell me if this is true for you too. One lady told me when she got divorced, she said they went to a therapist before they got divorced, and the therapist was like, I'm not allowing you to get divorced until you guys come to terms with the fact that you don't want to be in it. And I thought that was so crazy. I'm like, well, they getting divorced because they can't come to terms. Her theory, and the reason she said that was because she said there's a very high rate of divorce and remarriage. And I never knew that. I had no idea that people divorced and remarried the same person. And so she was saying that before you get ready to let something go, if you have anger, you're not really ready. If it's toxic, yeah, get out of certain horrible things, yeah. But she said you're not really ready, because what happens is you need to be able to say, you know what, this just is not working.
Mm-hmm.
I hate you, and I really wish you the best. And until you can say that, you're not really in a healthy headspace. Yeah. And if you have to leave before you can say that, that's fine. But get to a healthy headspace before you go to the next. Because I hate this whole idea of, I'm getting in another relationship to get over this. What is that about? Mm-hmm. Like, toxic. You going in there with your baggage, you dumping it on their bed, you bleeding all over them. I mean,
right. I think too, in these relationships, when we have a lot of these unhealthy relationships, whether it's friends or whether it's male and woman or friends, I think that a lot of times they can turn to be unhealthy because of the pride of individuals not wanting to be the bigger person. We have to learn that we all have our own minds and we can think the things that we want to think, and it's okay to agree to disagree. It's okay. It's okay that I like cherries and you like apples. It's all right. It's all right that I may not like that movie, but you may love it. It's okay, and it may be more complicated issues, but it's okay to agree to disagree. But it's not okay to argue over something that could be something that's simple that could be detrimental to the relationship.
Absolutely.
It's not okay and we have to learn how to deal with people in a healthy manner and not try to crucify them and not try to nail them to the cross and not try to belittle them. We have to learn how to deal with people in a healthy way. But a lot of times it's pride. It's the pride in the way that will not allow us to tender our heart, be compassionate for another person, be loving towards another person. It's pride.
It is. That is it. That's it. They said pride comes before the fall. Every rip. And I'm so glad you said pride, because the way the pride presents is not always, I think I'm this, I'm that. Some people think that's the only way. That is arrogance. No. Humility. Okay, we don't want to go there, do we? Don't. I had a heavy dose of that, right? I lived in that. I swam in the false humility. Like, I didn't want to let anybody help me. Anything. I when I was the first to help somebody, even if I really couldn't do it, because I didn't want to seem like I wasn't there. Or I wanted a relationship to work so bad, I wasn't honest.
Yeah.
Pride in that too, where I would literally go along with something and then resent them for the decision they made. What type of stuff is that? I agree to what you said, but I really didn't want to do it, but I did it because I wanted to fit in.
Right.
I resent you about it, so I secretly have an issue with you.
Right.
Pride presents in so many tricky.
Yes. Yes.
It presents in so many ways. So talk about that too, because that's a thing. That pride.
It's really ugly, and I've learned over the course of relationships. I had issues with relationships with females, and that hurt me. But at some point, somebody had to be the bigger person. Whether this relationship continues or whether the wall, somebody has to be the bigger person. And I think that, and I always say this, that life is too short. Life is so short. Life is too short to not want to deal with or come to terms with something because you are so prideful. You want everything to be your way. You point the finger at everybody else, but nothing is wrong with you. You take what somebody else and twist it so that it fit the verbiage that you want it to be. So it makes you look like the better person and make them look like the lesser person. It's really an ugly thing, and I really hate to see it in the Black women. And I say the Black women because I believe the Black nationality has a problem with another person gaining access to become greater and better. I think that when people are growing up and blossoming and blooming, there is always another that want to tear them down or want to stop them from trying to be successful. And I think that it's ugly. So that kind of like all ties in together to me when it comes to that relationship with individuals, healthy relationships. And I think that we can I always tell females, this is something that I just say all the time when someone say, "Oh, you're so pretty, you're beautiful," or whatever it is. I'm just a reflection of you. I'm a reflection of you because see, I see you as beautiful.
That's good. I like that. I
see you as beautiful because I want for my sister the same thing I want for myself, even if she gets it first.
That's how it should be. That's it. And people want what other people have because they're having, I think really people are fearful. Fear of a success, fear of failure, fear of walking in purpose, what that looks like, fear of responsibility, fear of really knowing who they are for real. Most people, let's be clear, and this is going a little bit into my next series. Identity issue. That's what at the very core, it's an identity issue. And so really, you're not able to really be happy for somebody else because you're upset that you're not walking in your purpose. You are walking in your purpose. I can't do anything but love you and appreciate you and want the good for you because I know how hard it is. I know what it takes. I know what it goes. And I often find that when people do that, it's a reflection of how they feel. And so, that's when I look at it and say, okay, all right, this is a problem for them because they're not really stepping into who they're supposed to be. They don't see how great they are. And if you don't see how great you are, it's gonna mess you up when you see how great I am. And it should.
Or I don't want you to shine. Wow. I don't understand that. Yeah. I want for my sister what I want for myself, even if she gets it first.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I celebrate you, I know mine. If I can lift you up, celebrate you, then I know mine is coming because I'm connected to you.
That's how it should be. And being able to understand and it's honestly standing flat foot in who you are. If you are busy, I tell people all the time, if you're so busy doing what you're supposed to do and you're in your purpose, you don't got time to be looking over here envious. You don't have time looking at me trying to hate on me. You don't have time. That's how I know people not doing purpose. That's how I know. It's very easy now. I see it now. Before, and I tell people all the time, 90% of what people do to you has nothing to do with you. Nothing. They're doing it for me. And I'm like, it doesn't. Let me tell you why. It is literally them acting out and putting it on you. Now, people are like, well, that's not okay. You're right. It's still not okay, but you got to understand. Somebody that didn't speak to you this morning, it ain't about you, boo. Just keep it going. Smile at them, keep moving. Don't make it mess your whole day up. Your whole day, he didn't smile at you.
I'm gonna put a pin in there. You gotta get over people.
For real.
I'm over it. I tell my husband all the time, I don't care what people think. They can think what they want to think. They don't pay my bills. They don't pay my house note. They don't pay. I don't care. Yeah. I really care. You gotta be delivered from what people think about you. And that can stop you and stagnate you from moving forward in your purpose. Because you're worried about what others think. We have to come out of that circle of thought.
Yeah. That's the biggest issue most people have. They subscribe to what people think because that's why they stay in the bad relationships. That's why they're in a crowd of people and lonely. I always thought that was the craziest thing ever. I 700 people and then they sit here like, I'm not really connected to any of them. It's because you don't really let them in. You care about what it looks like more than you care about the depth of the relationship. You care about quantity more than you care about the quality.
Yes.
You do that, and as long as you subscribe to what people think, you're gonna be stuck, you're gonna be hurt, you're gonna be lonely, and most of all, you're not gonna be healed and actually go forth. And that's how you can actually look at other people. My pastor said one time, he said, comparison is a slippery slope into envy and jealousy. And we have to be really careful.
Ooh.
I don't want what you have. I'm no, you know, I'm glad you have an amazing marriage. I'm glad that your kids are wonderful. I don't want what you have. You know why? Because I want what I was for me, period. I don't want, and I have never wanted what another person had. Mm-hmm. That's a nice house. I'm so grateful that you have that and say, you know what? If I want it, I can get it. You know what I'm saying? It's never been a thing where I've been envious of that. Or we have, and guess what? If you have that, anything that you feel that way of, you got to get real clear on that. And you got to be honest about what that is. I know sometimes people are easy to say, that's how people treat me. But then some of those main people are the people that's doing it. And I think people don't get healed at because they always hear the message and they like, you show right, Paris, or you show right, whoever, they really a mess. And I'll be like, but it's you. So what I want to do, girl, I'm just being for real. I be looking at them like, yikes. But it's all been us, right? This is why I tell my story. This is why I say what it is. This is why I bring on real people, because we've all been in something. We all none of us are perfect. We all have problems now. I got things now. Okay?
I had a problem with confrontation. So me thinking about, I'm gonna tell you one of my healing that I had to go through a healing process was confrontation, because I would like people to do things, but I never confronted the issue. And so what happened is I just would just, I internalize things I told you. So what I would do is I just be like, nah, I'm good. I forgive them. And so when I really realized that I really didn't forgive them was when the name was mentioned, or if I seen them. Something inside of me was uneasy.
Listen,
So,
you resented them secretly. You didn't know you did.
Yes. So what happened was I've learned that when there is an issue, and this is very important, when there is an issue, you need to confront the issue.
Yes.
Don't sit back on the issue now. You don't have to come to the nasty approach. But you need to confront, discuss, deal with that issue, that thought, that hurt, whatever it is, so there can be some kind of clarity and closure. Because if you do not deal with the issue, you build resentment.
Yeah.
And then that resentment is going to cause you to build up anger and all this bitterness and all this stuff will grow from that. And so I really, and this is something that I've learned, and I was an adult, like for real. I wasn't little, I was a whole full grown woman. That I had to learn that you have got to confront the issue, because I'm the person that will be just, what God says, that forgive them and love them, and he said pray for them, because you can't change them, but I can pray that I pray that God shows me how to deal with them. That was my thing. I'm going to pray and ask God to help me deal with them, with their issue, because that's their issue and only God can change them. But not knowing that you have to confront the issue.
Listen, you hit the nail on the head. And that's with all relationship types, even like with the romantic ones. I see so many people that let offense after offense go and they say, well, I'm just not going, I don't want to ruffle the feathers. I don't want to seem combative. I want to be a wife. I want to be a good girlfriend, or whatever. Or I want to be a good friend. That's my girl. She didn't mean it, this and that. But like you said, you carry part of that's it's the confrontation. For me, a little bit, it was the false humility too. I just didn't want to be the one that was combative. I didn't want to be perceived as combative at all, ever. And so I went so far the opposite direction. I was not true to my feelings. And so what happened is that I built these, I call them backup feelings. They were there. I pretended like they weren't there until I couldn't pretend no more. You feel me? Somebody talk like, don't let nobody owe me money. Oh my God. Don't let nobody owe me money, and I pretend like it didn't bother me. And then don't let them start buying stuff. And I'd be so tight in my chest. Like, I know I said I didn't care, but you owe me a whole, you just bought them a Gucci belt. Like, I'm being honest, it did something to me, and I realized I really didn't forgive them. And see, then you tell somebody it's okay. This is what I thought I learned. You tell somebody it's okay, and then you go on like everything's okay, and you have resentment. That's on you now. That's on you now. And we have to understand that, right? Because then, like you said, I got to at least, even if I want to dissolve the relationship, I have to be honest and say, this is what happened. These are the things that caused me a problem, and whether or not you feel they're valid anymore, and that's the mature way. You can talk to somebody and have a real conversation without it having left. And if it's gonna go left because they're toxic, guess what? It's this lovely word I like that starts with a B that's called boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries are amazing. Boundaries are this wonderful thing that you put in place. I think everybody should have boundaries, but you definitely want to put them in place when you have people that are really toxic. And guess what? You could choose to say, I don't subscribe to this right now.
That's what I wanted to discuss too. Boundaries. I'm glad you said that. Healthy boundaries.
Yes.
We get into relationships with people, and we just, when we think that we just let loose. We don't have no boundaries up, no healthy boundaries or anything. We just feel like, whoever we're close to is, we can give them everything. We can give them our all. We can unleash to them. We could tell them and open up to them, not knowing that one day that could be a stab in the back. We have to have healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries is so important. I learned that too. I learned that from Dr. Torree, who was talking about healthy boundaries. We have to set healthy boundaries in relationships, so we don't allow ourselves to get hurt repeatedly. It's called a repeat offender. Okay, a repeat offender. We won't allow them to continue to hurt us because we put a boundary.
Yeah, and it's not a curse word.
No,
boundary is not a curse word. And yes, somebody told me this that helped me out, and I really recently learned boundary in the last 3 years or so. But someone told me this, and I read a really good book called Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud. That book is, it's so heavy. He's it's heavy. It's good. And if anybody want to read up on boundaries, y'all know how I talk about boundaries. One thing that was said that was so good is that if you don't establish a boundary, that doesn't mean it's not one there. It just means that you allowed them to establish it. And they put the analogy up of a house. And when you buy your house, you have a property line. And if you don't know what your property line is, and somebody put it over your property line, they could do that if you don't know what your property line. Isn't that good, girl?
Yes, that's good. But let somebody come over that boundary.
Listen, but you allow it because you choose not to put it up, and we think it's a bad word. You better get you a no. I tell people when I hear them, they can't, because I didn't have a no. I didn't used to have a no. I didn't know what no hurt it to say to me for a long time.
Me too now.
It did because you feel like I want to be nice, I want to help everybody, and especially if you've been through something, you're like, I know what it feels like to not have. I know what it feels like to be hurt. I want to help everybody, and you really have a good heart, or you really mean well, but the reality is you still get to put up boundaries. If you, it was a part of this book, and I'm sorry because I just get really excited.
No, come on, I want to hear it.
He said if you don't have a strong no, your yes is weak. And I said, wait, sir, what do you mean? Wait, what do you? He said, he explained that the reason your yes is weak, because that means I can't trust what your yes is. I don't know if you really want to do it. I don't know if you don't want to do it. I can't trust your yes because you don't have a no. So you need to say no sometimes so we know what you can, where you can stop at, where you start. And I'm like, yes. Nothing. It helped me. So this guy just told me I got a weak yes.
Yes.
A weak yes. He said, because I guarantee you, if you don't have a no, you done said yes to some stuff you ain't want to say.
Ooh, dang.
Listen, guaranteed. And then again, once you do that, you're teaching people how to treat you, right? And you don't understand that once you don't speak up for yourself, once you are saying yes to things that you're not supposed to do, once you have all these false burdens, because that's a whole nother story, right? Once all that stuff, you don't realize that you're not even capable of, and it's tied into worth, but you're not capable of being in a healthy relationship because you don't even know what you really like and what you don't like, and you're not being honest about it. And it's so important. It's so important.
You just let anything go. You just, I talk to females about that too. When I talk to singles, and I tell them that you got to date yourself because you got to know what you like and know what you don't like. You got to know. And I just say, this is not being serious. This is just when you're dating somebody. You need to know what places you like to go to, what places you don't like to go to. You need to, when they ask you, where would you like to eat dinner at? You need to know where you want, what do you like? I don't know, wherever you want to take me. No. You say where you want to go.
It's so necessary. And it's about, like I said, relationship with self is the most important. That's the first thing that we really have to get together before we do first things. You know what? I feel so bad because the conversation we've been having been so good. I looked at the comments.
Let's look at them real quick.
No. We're gonna look at them. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. I'm trying to go back up. Here go one. Patricia said we were talking about how people are not truthful. She said they put on their mask. That's so true. A lot of people walk around with a mask on. always it's a facade. It's always a picture I want you to believe. Always. Let's see. Another thing she said is, yeah, you can't pretend like you don't have an issue. You have to confront it head on. And that's what she was saying, Torree.
Confront, deal with it.
Deal with it. No matter how hard
your life oh, I need to get on a sweatshirt. Deal with it. Your life would be so much better if you deal with it.
Come on.
You want to know why? Because you don't have that hanging over your head. You don't have that trash that you're carrying. You don't have that weight on your back. If you just deal with it, your life will be lighter. You can go, your mind will be clearer. You have some space there to think about your future, some space there to think about a business, because you don't have all that cluttering up your mind because of stuff that you don't want to deal with. Let's deal with the root of those issues. Let's get them out so we can break free and be ready for what God really created us to do. What are your goals? What are your vision? Let's deal with it so you can move on. Let's deal with it so you don't be staggered. Let's deal with it so you can help your children deal with their stuff. Come on.
And that's it. That's where the generational stuff comes down. People don't realize, well, I didn't do this and that, and this didn't happen to thee. At least this didn't happen to my child. But what are you? I had to think about inheritances. What are you giving to your children? Like, you know, we're not talking about money. What are you giving to your children? You need to be honest about that.
What legacy you leaving? What legacy
you leave? And then what stuff that you give to them unknowingly?
Mm-hmm.
It's some stuff that he learned from me because of my unhealed self.
Come on, that's the truth.
It's the truth. Why we have a hard time saying that? It's the truth. I think I'm an amazing person. Did I have some unhealed stuff? Yeah. And did my son see some of it? Unfortunately, yes.
But now we got to go back and recorrect it. Now we got to redirect, re-guide all of that stuff.
Well, if you're honest, anything can be fixed. Anything can be fixed if you're honest about it. But if you can't see that you contributed to it, you can't see you contributed to it, then you're not, because guess what? Kids are smarter than you think. They absorb so much more than you know. And so when you pretending like they don't know, even with relationships, I'm just staying for the kids. You think your children don't know you're miserable? What are you teaching your daughter?
They knew before you knew that you was miserable.
And hold on. And what you think you're teaching them? I've heard people say, well, my mom, that's how my dad always treated my mom. So I figured I didn't deserve more. And then they get heartbroken when they hear that, because they're learning the lessons you don't even say.
Yes.
They are watching you, good, better, and different. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means we sometimes injure the people around us or our children unknowingly. And the thing is the faster we figure it out to heal ourselves, then we can help them. That's because they don't belong to us anyway. That we're on the vessel that they came through. So what we're supposed to do is help. If the car is going that way, okay, you know what? That's not really what was supposed to happen. I know I showed you that.
Yeah.
Honestly, because a lot of kids ain't gonna listen to you if you ain't real about what it is. I learned that. Yeah. You tell me what you did, they put your ear off because they're like, I learned from you, right? So and then I can go ahead and help them re-steer the car. But I first have to be honest.
That's right.
In order for them to, even hear me, So let's go something else from Patricia. She said, you never know. This is what we were talking about. You never know what they had to go through to receive their blessings. They could have walked through hell and back. This is when you were saying how people can be jealous of what you're going through.
I don't want to be through what I've been through.
Listen, they don't know what you've been through. You know what I'm saying? They say, that the church, they say, you want my glory, but you have no idea.
I don't look like what I've been homeless. I don't look like what I've been through. Come on here.
Come on. And I think the last one here, you can also, that can stem from a fear of response that somebody might receive. We were talking about how not talking and confronting people. Sometimes it is a fear. It's like, if I know this person's combative, if I know this person is toxic, if I know this is going to go into an argument, sometimes
I don't want to go there. I know just rather not. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And so then that fear keeps you from having the conversations. And what do I say to that? What I have had to say to that is that, number one, there are times where you can change your delivery points, right? Be careful how you speak it, because if it's always accusatory, they're not going to hear it anyway. They're not going to receive none of that.
Right.
The thing you say is, you did this to me, you hurt my feelings, they're not going to receive any of that. So you have to be able to talk to them in a way that brings you both in and let them know that you're in a partnership. And that, hey, I'm here to value and I want us to work. And then if that doesn't work, I think there's other tools. You can even go to therapy and counseling to figure it out. And then if you're just with somebody that's toxic, let's just have some real talk here. If you're with somebody that's abusive verbally, mentally, emotionally, all that stuff, you need to get away. And I know that's not the answer people want to hear. They say, oh, we can work it out because we married, and God say, what God puts together, no man turns asunder. Let me tell you something. Come closer. The only thing, if you think the only thing that allows you to leave a marriage is if somebody hits you physically, then you got all this wrong. Emotional and mental abuse are literally 10 times worse, because guess what? Once that man stop hitting you, once that woman stop hitting you, because women abuse happens too. Once the physical stops, you are left with the scars and the wounds of all the emotional stuff. It's people carrying around with that last person they was with said to them, you ain't gonna never be nobody. I was the only one that ever loved you. I'm just carrying that stuff. And that stuff sits with you. And people sit in that because they say, oh, well, I was told this and that and this. I'm here. And, I'm here for the long haul. I'm a ride or die. I told people the other day, I'm not a ride or die. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die. Now, I could be with you. And if we're supposed to be together, let's do this covenant thing, right? Let's roll. I'm not going to be nothing toxic for the sake of saying, I did. At least I got that's still married. At least they're still in the marriage. If it's and just because you make it look good, I don't care. And y'all do better. You know what? You can actually be happy and not just have the look and the facade of happy.
Yes.
Try it. Today, everybody talk about relationship goals. Everybody want to put that on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. Relationship goals. I don't have no 5-step relationship goals things. Get you some boundaries. Be self-aware. Work inside of you, and then show up how you want to. And if it's too toxic to go for it, cut it off. Any last words, Torree? Because this has been an amazing conversation. Listen, I get fired up. We've been fired up. I know that everybody's have been feeling this. You have anything you want to just leave the people with?
I just want to encourage everyone to just look in the mirror at yourself and work on yourself. The best thing that you can do for you is to be a better you. And to be a better you is to sit down with yourself and write down everything that hurts you or make you feel a certain way, and you have to get to the bottom of the root of that. Just learn how to deal with yourself. Learn how to deal with yourself and get to the root of that. Because if you could deal with and get to the root of self, then you would be a better you, and you would know how to deal with others. And then when you step into relationships, whether it's a friendship or a relationship with the male, then you would know you will be a better person for the relationship. You'll go into it with a clearer mind and won't allow the things from the past to hinder the relationship.
I love it. I really love it. Thank you so much for coming on. I so appreciate when people take time out their day to come on and just speak to people. I really do believe perspectives, mindsets can be shifted with a conversation. And I'm guaranteed that somebody's going to listen to this and it's going to help them. I mean, we already had a couple people say it's helping them. So I already
good. I'm glad.
If y'all just came on here now, y'all already know what y'all could do. Catch the replay. It's gonna be up. Y'all come back. It's a good talk. You want to watch it. Torree, if they want to find you, if they want to know what you are about, if they want to keep it, how can they find you? What do you got going on? Come on, share with the people.
So I am Torree Munson on Facebook. I am Torree Munson on Instagram, and I am on YouTube. I'm just now launching YouTube, but I'm Everyday Life with Torree Munson on YouTube, and I will be launching my podcast, and it is Everyday Life with Torree Munson. It is going to be some real down, deep conversations. I'm talking about, we're going to dig deep, we're going to laugh, we're going to have fun, but we're going to be very transparent about everything that we discuss and talk about, because I believe that the only way that people can be healed and delivered is through transparency. All right. So that's how you find me. I'm a health nut. You will see all of that when you follow me, the things that I love.
Awesome. And how can they, now you said on YouTube, it's called Everyday Life with Torree?
On YouTube, it is Everyday Life with Torree Munson.
Okay, and then I'm typing it in the comments so that if people want to come and look. I said on YouTube, Yahoo. I mean YouTube. I know I have you on Facebook and Instagram, so on YouTube. And then you said the podcast. And how can they find the podcast when it comes out?
They can go to. Well, I'm gonna put it on Facebook and I'll put it on YouTube.
Okay, so new podcast coming.
See it.
With info coming soon. Okay.
Yes.
Listen, y'all better support her. You already see that she real. You already see that she gonna come with it. So I'm sure the conversation is gonna be wonderful. Again, thank you for coming on. We're gonna have to live again because I loved it. The conversation flow. We can't even believe it's already out. Past so that's amazing. Thank you. All right, y'all know how I do. Well, listen, I got my shirt on. Embrace the peculiar. I'm gonna say it every single time. Embrace the peculiar because you're going to be different and you need to embrace that and love that part of you. Okay. If y'all want to get my shirt, y'all know www.parispjohnson.com. And how I always end, you are enough. You're enough to do the work. You're worthy enough to be in good, healthy relationships. You don't deserve any type of toxic and dysfunction that you've been in. You're worthy to do the work to actually how to live a better life. I'm here to tell you, and I'm gonna tell you till you believe it. Okay. I love y'all. It's Thursday. Have a great weekend. You know what I feel about self-care. Have some self-care this weekend. Take a bath, eat you some good food, be with your family, love on yourself, put some music on, do it all. Do it all. Because you need it. All right. We love you guys. Have a great weekend. All right. And this is where I can do it.